Hydrogen is really being talked about quite a bit in the holistic wellness space. And I overall think it's a really good thing, but there are still a lot of misconceptions about hydrogen. There are some people who even say it's dangerous. So I'm going to do my best to debunk some of that. I'm going to talk about my family's own personal experience with hydrogen since 2024 in January. I also have a multitude of clients that have been using hydrogen therapy to reverse mast cell activation, to deal with autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto's. I've had a lot of success stories in my personal community when using really good hydrogen products. And I also want to share a conversation I did with my friend Mateo over on Instagram yesterday. Now, unfortunately, we had a whole bunch of technical difficulties. So my hope was to just rip the video down and share it here on YouTube and on the podcast, but there were so many difficulties that I've had to edit it. And now I'm going to loop it into the end of this episode. So there will be timestamps down in the show notes if you want to skip around to the topic that feels relevant to you. And before I get started with all of this, I just want to mention that none of it is medical advice and it's not meant to be taken as substitute for working one-to-one with a practitioner. I'm a big believer in informed consent and just really understanding all of the information before making decisions. And hydrogen is definitely something I researched for a really long time before we started, because I believe it's really important to have a good product, a good quality product, if you're going to be using it to improve your health. That being said, Axiom, the company that I use that I love, is having a sale. There's going to be a link down in the show notes. The sale goes through May the 12th, and you can use the code Sarah Spring to save on any of their products, whether it's the tablets. They have a brand new hydrogen bottle that Mateo and I talk about at the end of this episode, and their generators are fantastic. We have a generator that we all use here. And now we'll talk about how we use that here as well. So first of all, we started using hydrogen in January 2024, and we did start with a different product. So I want to disclose that we did start with the Holy Hydrogen machine, which I still have, and I still think is a fantastic machine. I've had a lot of people ask me if I still use it, and we still make water with the Holy Hydrogen machine every single day. The reason why we switched to the Axiom generator is that the flow rate on the Axiom is 6 times higher than the Holy Hydrogen. The flow rate on the Holy Hydrogen is a 100, and on the Axiom, it's a 600. So the primary reason why we started using hydrogen was for my daughter. And at the time, and I also always have to say this, I'm not looking for any advice. I know everyone always gives advice from a place of love, care, and compassion, but we are good. There's so much that I don't share on the podcast and with the general public about my daughter's health. So know that the story I'm telling you, just what's happened and our experience, just so that you have that information and background, not that I am searching for more help. So she started having some very violent and aggressive behaviors following a grand mal seizure back in August of 2023. It actually left her hospitalized in the ICU for a week. She fell out of a swing while having a grand mal seizure. I was up on the 3rd floor with the baby, and she had already kind of exhibited some pandas sort of behaviors and presentation for years, since she was probably about 9, during the pre-puberty years. And I had been looking at hydrogen for quite some time, because we really did go down the functional medicine rabbit hole, do all of the testing, look at the different supplements, test for mold, for Lyme, for all the things. And yeah, we found some things, absolutely. But she was not responding to anything that we were doing with functional medicine, with supplements, with all the tools that I know and use. And so we were at a point in January 2024 where we were at our wits' end. And it was really probably one of the hardest times of my life, because I had a 1-year-old baby who was exhibiting nervous system dysregulation through skin rashes. And I've talked about that on the podcast before as well. He's definitely very connected to his sister, and she was having violent, aggressive behaviors that were dangerous to the family, very dangerous to the family. And it was heartbreaking. And so we had gotten to a point where we were ready to consult with a psychiatric hospital. And the thing that they don't really tell you about children that get to this place of violence and aggression, that you just can't do anything about it. There's not options for people like this. there's not any options. You can't just send them somewhere. It doesn't work that way. And so we had been in process with a hospital called Kennedy Krieger, which is supposed to be one of the best places in the country for children that are having these sorts of issues, and had been they don't really accept people very often, but we had, pictures and videos and a lot of evidence. It was really bad. And so they had called us. It was the week I got my generator from Holy Hydrogen, and she had only been inhaling the gas for 1 week. So we would put her on the Holy Hydrogen and allow her to inhale. Again, the flow rate was only 100, but within a week, the violent behaviors stopped. So she had completely ceased all the violent behaviors. And then we get the call that she's been accepted to go to Kennedy Krieger. And so we couldn't, in good faith, I had a feeling the hydrogen was going to work. I didn't know it would work that well. But at that point, we decided, no, we can't send her. I didn't want to send her in the first place. You can only imagine. So it was really an answer to prayer that this started working really quickly for her. We continued to see improvements with her. She was able to start going to school again because we had to keep her home since the head injury and the big fall and the big seizure. She has not had a seizure since she started hydrogen therapy, and it was working really well. So I was introduced to Dr. Tyler LeBaron. I believe I mentioned him in the very beginning of this podcast episode. And he said, well, that holy hydrogen's not even giving you therapeutic inhalation. And I said, well, it's working. It's doing something, And he said, well, you really should connect with Axiom. They've got a really good product and the flow rate is really good. It's 600. And so, of course, I was on the phone with Mateo and introduced to Axiom and had a machine on the way as quickly as I could. And when she started on that machine, again, we noticed marked improvements with her sleeping through the night, because part of this disorder she was dealing with, I hate to put labels on things, but it was very intrusive to her life and our life. She had a lot of sleep disruptions and would wake us up a lot. Couple that with just getting through the newborn years. So it's tough on our bodies as well. She started sleeping through the night. She stopped wetting the bed for the first time in 16 years. We were kind of like flabbergasted. And so I was just really impressed with the machine. I developed a relationship with Axiom and started recommending their products to a lot of my clients as well. Now, again, the Holy Hydrogen, a lot of people ask me, do you not recommend it anymore? I do. It's a different level of a product. It's a different price point. It makes fantastic water. And it's a good product. So I definitely recommend it as well. And my code there, I believe, is Sarah K. If you want something that has a therapeutic flow rate, I'm going to send people to the Axiom machine. It makes water and you can inhale water with it, and not inhale water, inhale the gas with it as well. So that's my daughter's experience as of September, and she's kept the weight off. She's also lost 46 pounds. So that is remarkable as well. And we've always fed our kids a very healthy diet, a very healthy whole foods diet. So we didn't do anything drastic or extreme with her diet at all. And she was able to lose 46 pounds. Now, what hydrogen does, if you're unfamiliar, is it works directly on the mitochondria. So there are some people saying that a healthy person should not do hydrogen therapy because it basically gets rid of all reactive oxygen species in the mitochondria, which is not true. It actually acts as a signaling molecule. The ROS acts as a signaling molecule. What the hydrogen actually does, if you don't have enough signaling molecule or reactive oxygen species, it allows and helps the body to make more. If you have too much, which is going to cause inflammation, it's going to slow down energy production, water production, it's going to get rid of them. And so it actually works as a selective antioxidant. Instead of getting rid of all of the ROS, it can make more if you need more, and it can get rid of the ones that are crowding the mitochondria and slowing down energy production. So that's one thing that a lot of people will say, is that a healthy person shouldn't necessarily do it because of that fact. So that really, I hope, explains that. I try to keep things very simple in the podcast. I do go a little bit deeper and get a little more scientific in my courses, but honestly, even the people that do my courses, I sometimes think I don't know if they really need to know all of that. I just put it in there. So I hope that makes sense. And so that's why it's such a powerful therapy for autoimmune, for things like PANS-PANDAS. It can also cross the blood-brain barrier. And the inhalation is really where it's at for reducing brain inflammation, which is, it doesn't matter if it's PANS-PANDAS. We were diagnosed with autoimmune encephalitis. We did go the standard medical route as well because she's having life-threatening seizures. And it was very terrifying what we went through, as you can imagine. And she was diagnosed with autoimmune encephalitis. And then they said she needs to do IVIG therapy. And then our insurance company said, no, you can't. You're going to have to pay out of pocket $40,000 a treatment. And so, again, that's why buying a hydrogen generator made sense to me. It's like medical standard allopathy is telling me I'm going to have to spend $40,000 a treatment, and it may or may not work. I know some kids who do IVIG and it's a disaster. I know some people who do it and it is helpful. But regardless, we didn't have the kind of money to spend $40,000 on a treatment that may or may not work. And, the functional medicine route was more supplements and detox, just loading her body up with all these supplements. And I just have a big issue with that. I think it's not going to get to the root cause. Why is this happening? And so that was my daughter's experience. We still use it. Are things perfect with her? No, but she's able to go to school. She is able to hang out with her little brother. It's not perfect. We still have our issues and it's still really, really difficult. And yes, I've seen the telepathy tapes. I just want to throw that in there because I do get asked that question just about maybe once a day on social media. I have seen it. We're actually really close friends with a lot of the people that were in the show. I know the people right now who are filming a documentary. I know a lot of the kids that are in that. The person on episode 9, the woman on episode 9, taught my daughter how to spell. Her son, JP, who passed away, was a really close friend of the family. He was actually supposed to come and visit my daughter after she got out of the ICU with her seizure. He wanted to come over and talk to her about seizures and how he had been coping with them and just be there for her. Unfortunately, he passed away. A couple days. He was supposed to come. He wasn't feeling well. We rescheduled the visit and then he passed away before he could come visit. So people ask me a lot about the telepathy tapes, and I'm very closely acquainted with a lot of the people involved in the project. So, okay, that's my daughter. That's her experience with hydrogen. My personal experience with hydrogen is that I have felt it to really, really support my metabolism. Now, I have just kind of gone through, and I don't put all of my cards in one basket and think like genetics is the be all end all. Absolutely not. Your mitochondria is the be all end all. Your mitochondrial health is the be all end all. And really, really how well your mitochondria work is going to influence whether or not you need to be concerned about specific genes being turned on or not. So that's another conversation for another day, but I have been kind of playing around in that avenue, and I'll talk more about that on future episodes. I have multiple obesity genes. I don't need a genomics person to tell me that because honestly, most people in my family are 300 pounds plus. I love them dearly. It's just, that's how it is in my family. So yeah, I've got a lot of cards stacked against me with my metabolism. And since I've been using molecular hydrogen, I actually feel like my metabolism works. Now, I have been doing my leptin protocols, my sunlight, my protein breakfast, my fasting, strategic fasting with my cycle. I've been doing all of those things. And I think that you can't just get hydrogen and expect it to fix everything. You have to have the lifestyle. And I think that's the issue that some people on social media are having right now with hydrogen in particular, is that they're like, oh, well, you're not supporting the mitochondria. So I'm doing all of that, really doing all of that. Sunlight, breakfast, protein rich, balanced blood sugar, sleeping at night, blocking artificial light at night, getting enough sunlight on my skin for vitamin D production, all of it. And I think that gives the hydrogen a better chance to work well. And one thing that I have been accused of multiple times over the last year is being on Ozempic. I did a video about that in the podcast. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can find that episode. It's titled GLP-1s, Breaking My Silence, because it's GLP-1s. While I'm not taking a hard line for or against them, I think that is a good podcast to go to. If you want to hear my full thoughts, it's not for me. Number one, I'm dialed in and I'm optimized. I don't feel the need to be on one. But number two, I've have a history of gut issues. And I've had so many clients that have had major gut issues and gallbladder issues and all sorts of digestion issues following the use of a GLP-1. So having really healed my gut and becoming optimized, it's not for me. But that's to say that I think hydrogen has been fantastic for my metabolism, for helping me as I'm going to be 46 this June. So pretty soon, a month away, and just feeling really optimal there. For my husband, he has been using hydrogen as well. So the way my daughter uses hydrogen, I'll talk about our protocols a little bit. We always make sure we're hydrated before we begin doing the hydrogen therapy. So all of us, when we wake up in the morning, I have made a fresh batch of hydrogen water. I use my hydrogen generator to do that. I pour in my minerals. I do the Keen-Ton hypertonic minerals. So I pour those in. And the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up is have the minerals water, rehydrate, regardless of what I'm doing, go outside, get sunlight, walk around barefoot, eat something. My daughter, she comes downstairs. I force her to have some minerals, drink a big glass of water, and then typically she'll take her breakfast over to the area where we have the generator, and she will get hooked up to the generator for about half hour before she goes to school while she's eating her breakfast. And she knows it's good for her, because if you had asked me a couple of years ago, would she sit hooked up to a generator? I would say absolutely hell no. Like, no, but she actually really feels the benefits of being hooked up to the hydrogen. So she does it about half hour a day in the morning before school. Then we all go about our day. We drink the water throughout the day. I send the water with her to school in a big bottle. Now, the gas in the water, because all water has hydrogen in it, but what makes it therapeutic is the gas in the water, the infused hydrogen into the water. Now, if you shake the water, gas disappears. If you heat the water, the gas disappears. It dissipates. And so when we send the bottle to school, we're making sure that no one is shaking it, that it's put, in her classroom, and she drinks that throughout the day. We all drink the water throughout the day. And there's science to show that there's not really necessarily an upper limit on drinking hydrogen water. Obviously, you don't want to drink too much water, period, because that can cause not toxicity issues, but it can cause issues with your kidneys. You can overdo water, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So you can always do too much of something, but they have not found an upper limit on inhalation or an issue with making hydrogen water the only water that you drink through the day. That's what I'm trying to explain here. I'm not going to edit out my little befuddled mess that I just put in there. So we all drink it all day. My son, who's 2.5, he drinks the water. He acts like he wants to go on the inhalation, but he's 2.5. Absolutely not. He's not going to sit there. So occasionally he will put the headphones on, and Axiom has with their generators a headphone piece. And so he'll put the headphones on every now and then. I don't know if it's doing anything, to be honest with you, but I do think the drinking of the hydrogen water for him has been really helpful in getting his eczema to clear up, as a part of a million other things that we've been doing. But I do think it's a helpful supportive therapy. And there are some interesting research articles to show that it can help with the immune system, with an overactive immune system, and modulating it. And so again, a helpful therapy for him. So he doesn't really inhale. He'll do the headphones, but he mostly just drinks the water. Now, my husband inhales. So I inhale at the end of the day for usually about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour after I've got the kids down. So I always do my session at night. And then I typically take the machine upstairs and hook my husband up to it. And he sleeps with it on. He'll usually do 2 hours or so. You can run the machine for 24 hours, but he does the machine inhalation to sleep, essentially. And so that's how we all use it. We all do make sure that we are hydrated adequately beforehand. Now, is there science to show that that's how it has to be? Not necessarily, but that's just the protocol that we follow. As far as hydrogen tablets go, we kind of go on and off of those. We do use the Axiom hydrogen tablets. And I always tell people, if you're curious, and we talk about this in the second half with Mateo, the conversation there, if you're curious if hydrogen could be helpful for you, then try the tablets and see if you notice a difference. See if you notice anything at all. But again, we talk about the tablets in the conversation with Mateo. So I'll kind of wait on that. But I think that that's really the way that my family uses it, just kind of explaining our protocols. Nothing really complicated, honestly. I inhale probably 5 days a week, and my daughter usually every day, honestly, because she still struggles with things. And I will see her start to, come home from school. And I think I mentioned that she does do about an hour when she comes home from school, also. I may have left that out, but she inhales usually twice a day, once in the morning for half an hour, and then after school for usually an hour, sometimes longer. Sometimes she'll just want to sit on the generator and I let her guide me. I have kind of a minimum of like, okay, at least half an hour after school. But if she wants to sit on it for 2 hours, which sometimes when she's not feeling well, she really wants to stay on it, then I let her. I really let her kind of be the guide on that. And so again, it's helpful for all of us. And my husband, he really suffered the most when my daughter wasn't sleeping. And then my son was a newborn. Like for some reason, he went into daddy protective mode and his sleep continued to be disrupted after my daughter had started sleeping through the night again. He was just like on alert, on high alert. And so he really has felt that the hydrogen is helping him to sleep better, sleep through the night, feel more rested, and not feel exhausted and groggy and fatigued when he wakes up in the morning. And so that's been hit. He's already lean enough. He's like 6'4" and 180 pounds. He doesn't need to lose any weight. So he doesn't, I don't know that it's ramped up his metabolism, but he's about to be, well, he just turned 45. So he's not struggling with his metabolism at all, like a lot of people do in their 40s. Is it the hydrogen? I don't know, but I do know that it is helpful. Let's see if I want to add a couple more things about scientific things I've seen out there on Instagram, and then I'm going to cut to the conversation with Mateo. I think the only thing I really want to add to the scientific evidence piece here, because I think Mateo and I really discussed this, is that there are over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies that really show no adverse side effects to hydrogen as a therapy. And so there's a lot of theory out there. There's a lot of mudslinging. There's a lot of crazy on social media. I try my best to stay out of it because I don't think it's helpful for anyone to knock somebody else down, speak negatively about other people. It doesn't help anyone at the end of the day. It just makes people it invokes emotions that aren't helpful. And so when people say things, I say, well, there's 1,000 peer-reviewed studies that show there's no adverse side effects. There are things you want to be aware of when you're choosing a hydrogen machine. And there, like I said, are a lot of them out there. Mateo and I go into this, but just to make it very simple for you, is that a lot of these machines come with membranes that break down very quickly. And when that happens, you may not have therapeutic hydrogen that the machine is making anymore, and heavy metals might begin to leach into the water. And so you think that you're getting something very therapeutic, and you're actually drinking a bunch of heavy metals. And so that's just really something that needs to be understood when you're getting a hydrogen product. That's why I'm like, either go with a holy hydrogen if you're not ready to spend the money on the Axiom. Now, Axiom also has a water bottle that is now available. They're doing a pre-sale on it. Link will be down in the show notes. I'll put the holy hydrogen in the show notes as well. But I'm very cautious about a lot of these water bottles and newer products on the market. Now, there will be people that create new products that are good. There's always somebody out there building something better, but these are the ones that I've used, that I use with my family, that I've used with my clients. As I mentioned in the intro, I've had multiple clients to reverse mast cell activation syndrome, to get rid of histamine issues, to lose weight, to deal with autoimmune conditions. I've even seen people with Parkinson's stop having tremors within 3 days of inhaling the hydrogen gas. I've seen a lot of really wonderful things, but I don't want to promise you anything. I want you to go a step further, look at the research yourself, and then make your own decision. And just be cautious with people out there who want to rip everybody else down. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. So I'm cautious and I'm wary of it. That's a conversation and a topic for another day. I'm not going to get into that here and now, but let's jump into the topic of conversation with Mateo. As I mentioned again, they are having a big sale, and we will mention comment H2 below this video. I wasn't able to edit that out because we say it so many times. Don't comment that below the video. There will be a link in the pinned comment for you, and in the show notes as well, if you want to take advantage of that sale. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that it was helpful for you. I'll talk to you again soon. So someone wants to know, does hydrogen help to protect from non-native EMF on the airplane?
Yes. Yeah, there is some studies showing not only protection against radiation, but harmful EMF, and it's because it protects our cells, strengthens our cells, and then if our cells are strengthened, then it can help protect those harmful EMFs.
Yes. Yeah, I never get on an airplane without hydrogen tablets. And so
Right.
I've been telling everyone I'm going to Confluence next week, and I'm super excited to bring the new water bottle, which if you guys are interested in getting the water bottle, it's on pre-sale, and it's at a much lower price on pre-sale than it will be retail. And you can just comment H2 below this video. We'll send you the link. But someone wants to know, this is a good question, what's the maintenance of the new bottle?
So we have developed a really thorough, it's not overly thorough, but a thorough enough user manual that has the protocols for maintenance. We do have a really incredible technology that reverses the electrical current in the proton exchange membrane, which will then release ozone to clean the membrane so it doesn't scale up, and it's always producing the same amount of hydrogen through the life of the bottle. So we're recommending in between, I'll need to double check it, it's either 50 hours or 100 hours, and that you'll hit the self-clean button. It takes, I think, 2.5 minutes to self-clean. You'll just use regular filtered water or distilled water for the self-clean mode. And there's also cumulative runtime. So this is an amazing feature on the bottle that you can see how many hours my bottle has. That way you know when to do your maintenance. Some bottles that have any type of maintenance protocols would say once every 6 months, but people use it different amounts of hours per day and per month. So we calculate by the hour, and the bottle tracks that. And so it's an incredible feature to make sure that you are always getting the same amount of hydrogen through the life of the bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one thing I love about it. And a lot of people I've already talked about on the other live stream, which I saved. I left it on my page where I was just kind of riffing about our story with hydrogen, how we use it. I keep saying I'm going to do a post this weekend. I've been taking pictures with myself with the cannula, my daughter, my son with the headphones, and like my water station. So I'm going to do a post to really talk about protocols that we use specifically, and then even show how I clean the tubes and keep everything sanitary for the family. But yeah, I think that I just totally lost my train of thought. I think a lot of people are talking more about hydrogen now just because it's really coming out to the forefront, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And there's new companies popping up, and there's
the hydro water bottles. That's what I was going to talk about. Because a lot of people ask me about those, and we talked about that on the podcast we did that's coming out this week. And the reason why I don't like those is what we talked about, is that a lot of times those membranes will break down, and then you have toxic water that's not even making hydrogen, and that's a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, those bottles, the technology has been out for over 10 years.
Right.
So it's not this brand new technology. It's now hitting the North American, the more modern world now. But I knew about these 10 years ago. I had one 10 years ago. It didn't meet any of my standards. I stopped using it within 3 months after I did a few tests, and then intuitively wasn't resonating. And then so I kind of left those away. In the past 3 years since we launched the company, people say, hey, what water bottle do you recommend? Why don't you guys offer one?
Yeah.
Because we're not in the market just to sell a product. We need to make sure it works. We need to make sure it gives results. We're 100% results driven. We'll never offer a tablet, a machine, a bottle. Any of our products always give results. And that's why we're starting to get a little reputation. So that's why we never touched that market, because the technology wasn't there to make clean hydrogen at therapeutic levels or way above therapeutic levels for extended periods of time. And now we have that technology, and it's just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I love my bottle. I think it's so fun. And we still use our generators, obviously, to do inhalation, because you can, like you said, inhale with the bottle, but it's like, isn't it like a 62 is the flow rate or something like that? Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah, we have a couple different laboratory instruments that we do measurements, and it's right around 62, 65. So it's really, that's a bonus feature. I don't want to say that's the main feature. The main feature is absolutely drinking the super saturated water, releasing the pressure, consuming that in one sitting, because this water, unlike the Axiom machine, is highly unstable because it's so highly pressurized. So as soon as you release that pressure valve and open the bottle, you want to try to consume that in one sitting, because it will escape pretty quickly.
Interesting. And yeah, that makes sense, because I have the tester that you guys send with the Axioms. And I always tell people, even if you get another hydrogen machine, I would still go to your website, go to the Axiom website, And if you guys want the website, just comment H2 under the video. I'll DM you the website. We can just look at everything. But I always am like, get a tester. Now, obviously, because I know someone will comment about this, it's never going to be as accurate as if you go into a lab. But for a consumer, you need to know what's the pH level of the water. Did the pH of the water change because I made hydrogen? Was like, what's going on here? What's the ppm? And so when I was measuring the bottle, I would kind of like do what I always do, which is pour it into a cup, like sit for a second, and then like try to measure it. And I was getting similar to what I get with the regular machine. So I was letting it kind of air out for a little bit. And then I'm wondering if that tester can even measure the therapeutic levels of like what's it. But I feel like I can't drink the bottle all day long. Like I have to I have to microdose that little bottle.
Yeah.
It is really strong.
Yeah, it's no joke. I mean, we're hitting levels, and we're going to publicly release the levels with our gas chromatography test very, very soon. But what we can say now is that it's well above 9 ppm. The digital, people say they feel their brain tingling.
Yeah. Well, so how quick does the water get ready? So in the bottle, you have a 3-minute timer and a 20-minute timer. So what's the difference between those two?
So the 3-minute timer is going to do 2 ppm,
okay.
Which is, a quick one. You don't want to wait 20 minutes. You're thirsty, but you want hydrogen-rich water. So you go with the 3-minute run. That's very important to know. And then the 20-minute cycle is going to do, like I said, well above 9 ppm. And we do, if you're brand new to hydrogen, I'd start with the 3-minute cycle. Yeah. Again, just assess how you feel. Even though it's safe and natural, just ease into it. And then if you feel fine, you're not having headaches, you feel good, you feel energized, you've done that for a day or two, a couple dosages of the 2 ppm, then you can go up to the 20-minute cycle. The newest bottles, it now has a little beep, that a noise that makes, because so you can hear it beep, which is a great feature. Also, another thing I want to mention is that digital meter that we include with our generators, that has a threshold of 2 ppm.
That's what I was thinking.
That's
why I thought it's not going to measure. Okay, that was my guess, because I was talking about that with Carrie. I was like, because she has a bottle too. I'm like, are you getting the high readings? And I'm like, I think the tester is not going up, because when I drink the water from the bottle, it actually feels stronger. Like, and I can only tolerate drinking like so much of it.
Yeah.
Before I'm like, I need my generator water. Yeah. So that makes sense that the tester only goes above a certain thing. And someone wants to know if I can do a video on how to use the tester. I'm sure you guys have them on your website. I have them in my hydration mastery course. I show you and I explain pH, RP, hydrogen, what you want to look for, why you don't want water to be too alkaline, how that can be dangerous. Also, why you don't want it to be below a certain level as well. Yeah, I have that in my hydration mastery class. And Mateo and I've talked about getting some people coming to my house to film some videos. So we've got that in the works too.
Yeah, I want to mention, really the only way to accurately measure hydrogen saturation in water is through gas chromatography. Yeah. Very, very expensive, typically over $50,000, $100,000 lab equipment. But the digital meter gives us a rough estimate of what's going on. You can at least see changes in the water. And then also, the source water, the pH of your source water will highly affect your testing. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. And in your mastery class would be a great platform where people can deep dive and learn every aspect. Like, you can't go just off the ORP. You can't go just off the pH. You can't go just off the ppm. And so there's all those things that I know you understand very well. And it's wonderful that you can connect the person that's not educated on this in layman's terms without going super science and chemistry. And so that was a big decision when we added that meter with our machines. Half the team saying, no, don't, it's going to confuse people. And I'm like, I think we want to put it on there. They'll figure it out, and it adds more transparency. The H2 blue drops too is a little bit more accurate in finding out the saturation levels of H2 in water. However, even those, there's certain brands that work well, other brands that don't work so well. And if your source water is alkaline or slightly highly alkaline, can totally alter your H2 blue drops. Okay. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah. And I assume the HW 300 also makes about the 2.1, 2.0 ppm or saturation with hydrogen, right? It's similar to the 600. They both make the same kind of water, and just the flow rate is double on the 600. So correct me
Correct.
if I'm wrong. It's more of like somebody, like in our situation, I've got a nonverbal autistic daughter. I want to sit her on the machine, and I want to do it for less time because she gets fidgety and wants to get up. So I'm like, the 600 has to be what we get, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, so the 300 and 600 as far as water saturation is going to create the same level of saturation, and it'll only alter in the amount of time to saturate that water. The larger body of the water, the longer you'll need to saturate. But even so, it happens very quickly. I think even on the 300, in about 3 minutes, it saturates in 8-ounce glasses of water, fully saturated. You can run it for 30 minutes, 2 hours, but once it reaches peak saturation without pressure, it's fully saturated. It won't go more without pressure.
Yeah. And ours, we do like a 2-gallon. We've got one of the, I think it's Alive Water, their glass containers. We fill that up with our distilled or RO water, put in our minerals, and then I just put the wand in there, let it go. And I measure the water 24 hours later, and it's still fully saturated. So
Yeah.
And we send the water bottle with my daughter to school, so she drinks it at school. The thing is, like, if you don't want to shake the water bottle or get it too hot, because that'll cause the gas to dissipate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
So it's a great thing to have. Just, rule of thumb, ease into it. The water bottle is no joke. It's not some gimmicky. You're not going to find these on Amazon.
No.
It's real deal, and we're even considering running this through the FDA to get it FDA-approved first medical device for a hydrogen-rich water bottle. Because it meets all those standards. It exceeds them. We added the new UVC light for extra antibacterial function, as well as the low-level frequency to help add more coherence to the water, which reduces the tension of the water. When we reduce the tension, the absorption goes up. So all those technologies are in this bottle. It even has, we have an upgraded battery in there, has a little bit faster charging. I wouldn't call it fast charging, but it's faster than our previous prototypes. And now the newest one has like wireless charging for those people that are into that.
Yeah, mine still plugs in. I like it though. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a nice product. I'm trying to think of what other questions people might have. If you guys are just jumping on, feel free to ask us a question. But what's really exciting is that Axiom has had the 2 generators, that we have the 600 and absolutely love their product. And now they're coming out with a bottle. Oh, more about the UVC. Someone wants to know about the UVC that's on the bottle.
So we're just rolling out with the new website. And on that new website, we are going to be having a section for the water bottle. We've been keeping the water bottle, a lot of the features kind of secretive, since we're getting a lot of attention from a lot of other companies. And we've already had 1-2 other companies make knockoff machines of ours. So when you start to rise to the top, people want to mimic, they want to copy, they want to steal your ideas and your research. We will be having more information about the UVC light. We did make sure to have the proper wavelength of UVC light in the proper duration and distance of the water, all those things. So it's not just a marketing piece that ours has UVC light. It's a UVC light that actually works. And that's, again, it's more like being proactive than reactive. A lot of people have filtered water that you don't need a UVC light to clean that bacteria. This is for people that are traveling, that don't have filtered water. We have a filter that can remove chlorine and other contaminants from the water. And the UVC light would be when you're traveling, you don't have clean water, you'd want to put in the filter, use the UVC light. Now you have not only filtered water while you travel, but you have super saturated filtered water. The average American or North American, we all have filtered water, so you probably won't need to use that feature as much, but it is an option.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be using it when I'm traveling. And then someone says, you said the hydrogen leaves the water after the 20-minute run pretty quickly. Is that like just a few minutes?
Yeah. So once you release that pressure, about a minute after that, we're losing around 1 ppm to 1.5 ppm.
Okay.
So the idea is that if you're not ready to drink it, don't release the pressure valve. When you're ready to drink it, release the pressure valve. And like you said, you had transferred it into a glass, just that motion right there with this highly unstable form of hydrogen, we'd probably lose a little bit more. So now after the first 5 minutes, it will hold pretty high levels.
It holds for like 12 hours because I left it sit. I always do my experiments where I'm like, let's test this, and I'll have like 5 things of water out. My husband's like, oh God, what is she doing now? So I left the water from the water bottle sitting out on my counter for 12 hours, and it still was at a 2.1 12 hours later. So it holds it at a therapeutic level for 12 hours. Now, if you want the super saturated level, then that's where I think the
stability goes away.
Let's see if there's any other question. And if you guys are interested, how much of the bottle can you drink per day? I think that's going to be variable per person, right?
Yeah, it depends on your weight, right? The size of the person.
Yeah.
The larger person, they need a longer inhalation session. They need more hydrogen-rich water. A smaller person could need less. And again, even though it's 100% natural and safe, you want to ease into hydrogen, especially if you're new for it, because it's very powerful to ignite your immune system to start acting. It boosts your mitochondria. I know you were talking about that earlier. We have our head medical director, Dr. Alan Inman. He was experimenting with the thresholds, and he was drinking eight full dosages of the bottle at full saturation levels a day. He felt like $1 million. So he's really pushed the limit of what we recommend, around 3 super saturation levels a day. But he's always, doing experiments like yourself, trying to find those thresholds and the limits and things like that.
Yeah, and you can use well water with the bottle, right? Because it's got the filter. Shouldn't be most well water is typically better than.
That's clean. The real main reason we have an activated carbon filter that you can optionally place in there. It comes as an accessory, is for the chlorine. That's really the thing that we don't want to have on the membrane, is chlorine or fluoride. But most filter water you buy or you have at your home would remove the chlorine, and that's the main one that can damage the membrane. I saw another, this new bottle doesn't have the same breakdown issues as other water bottles. Yeah, so we're using a medical grade PEM that is guaranteed for 3,000 hours. So, the ones out on the market, a lot of them don't even last for, 3 months or 6 months, which is probably going to be under 1,000 hours for most people. So we did do about a year or longer of testing on this bottle in the real world with exclusive VIPs like Sarah, and through our clinic with Dr. Alan Inman and some of his patients, just to get some real world feedback, before we offered this sale to the public.
Yeah. And then someone wants to know, to start with only one person, would the new water bottle be enough rather than the machine? And I'll let you answer, but I would say it just depends on your goals. Like for my daughter, someone who had severe neuroinflammation, I need more hydrogen inhalation for her because that's going to do different things for the brain. But if you're just a person that wants to just optimize and use hydrogen, I think that the water bottle is a really, really great option.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, even though we're offering a product here, we're not selling anything. We're excited about something and we're passionate. And so whatever works best for your budget, you could start with the tablets. Those are $50.
That's why I tell people, I'm like, start with the tablets and see if you notice a difference there. Yeah.
I mean, start small, find your budget, and then, depending on your goals, some people, they try the tablets, they say, this is amazing. If this is any indication of how the machine's going to be, wonderful. I'm glad I tried the tablets. Now they get the machine. Once they get the machine, now they don't want to leave home without the machine, so then they get the bottle. Right.
It
works like that.
Yeah. And then someone had asked earlier that I missed it while I was trying to add you about 17 times about gut health and hydrogen. And I know we've talked about this in the past, I think particularly with the tablets. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the tablets are very, very powerful for our gut health. The water is going to be really powerful for the gut health too. Mm-hmm. So if you're really focused on repairing your gut microbiome, we would say tablets and or hydrogen-rich water. And the more hydrogen in the water, like the supersaturated levels, you're going to have much more benefits for the gut health. It's going to actually fight the bad bacteria and help the production of the good bacteria in a really specific enzyme called hydrogenase. This enzyme is the one that makes hydrogen naturally in our gut when we eat a fiber-rich diet. But due to the use of antibiotics, this is neutralizing this specific enzyme, hydrogenase, and a lot of other healthy enzymes, sometimes up for years. Wow. So that's why we need to supplement and rebuild back that gut microbiome, hydrogen-rich water, or probiotics, prebiotics, can help get that natural enzyme back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely noticed it's been helpful for all of us with my son having a few gut issues that were leading to some skin things for him. Like, he drinks the water, and it's been awesome for him. And he uses the headphones because that's one thing with the generator. He can't inhale. He tries to inhale and then he like freaks out because he's only 2.
Right.
But he uses the headphones.
Right.
Someone wants to know if you can build a tolerance to hydrogen therapy. She says, when she started using the 300, I noticed a difference. And now when I use it, I notice as much of a difference. I have my own ideas about that, but I'll let you give yours first.
Sure. Well, I guess it's a two-parted answer here. One, yes, I do believe you can build a little bit of a tolerance. For example, if I'm a healthy person, I do all my blood panels, I check everything all the time. So I'm running already at an optimum level.
Right.
So I have my machine right here, my 600, and I breathe this. I don't feel the effects. Like, I don't feel like, ooh, this rush, this super mental clarity. But I know that I am fighting oxidative stress because I'm constantly measuring my biological age versus chronological age. The main factor for that, getting your biological age down, is keeping the oxidative stress down.
Right.
So even though I'm not feeling the effects like I used to 10 years ago because I've been using it for that long, I still absolutely take a tablet a day. I drink my water daily, and I breathe daily. So a perfectly healthy person breathing hydrogen 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, they're going to have declining effects. It's not going to be strong. So what I recommend is ease into hydrogen. Once you've eased into it, you found your tolerance, hit it hard, really hard. And a lot of people, a typical toxic American or North American, is going to at least 6 months to a year. You're hitting it hard. From that point, if you really do stay with tablets and the water and you're breathing and you're probably incorporating a multitude of other things, then you can just hit a maintenance protocol, which is like 3 to 4 days a week, no matter of breathing. No matter what, I'm always going to drink my hydrogen-rich water because there's been no study showing a decline in the benefits with hydrogen-rich water. The inhalation, you can, I don't want to say get a full tolerance to it, but your body's been optimized, so you're not going to get that same whoosh effect because now you've been optimized, is what it sounds like. But some people get the 300, they jump to the 6 because they're looking for that feeling. But I'd love to hear your experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you entirely. And I think we're still at the phase with my daughter. We're still doing it at least an hour a day with her every day. Occasionally she'll take a day off. Still seeing it be very helpful for her. Like, I can see a distinct difference when she starts inhaling, that she just kind of calms down. I think that unfortunately people are just extremely toxic. But when you have really optimized a lot of the things, you can slow down on a little bit, not do it as much, because I think your body is so optimized, you know? But for looking at the research, I don't see necessarily what it would be, that it would be harmful. To do.
Not at all. I mean, once your blood gets fully saturated with hydrogen and it reaches those peak saturation levels, any excess hydrogen is going to be released through your exhales of your breath. So you can't overdo it, and that's the beauty of this. Like, you can't overdo oxygen. You can't overdo these other things. This you cannot. And so, you know, we work with a lot of cancer patients in our different clinics, and I'll just, you know, I don't want to make any medical claims, but we're seeing astounding results, and they can, you know, breathe this 4 hours, 8 hours a day, all night while they sleep, and or if you're bedridden. This is the thing. This is one of the few machines that can run 24 hours a day. So it is like your at-home personal clinic at your house. That if you get sick, We have a gentleman, he has a bottle. I think he's 55, 60 years old. He says, every year I get sinuses and I get sick. He goes, just with your bottle, I put in the breathing, clears his sinuses right up with
Nice.
that low flow rate.
Yeah.
And so he loves the bottle. Yeah, it's just an amazing tool for the whole family. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, I noticed this year my allergies were like nothing. And
Yep.
I used to
Yep.
have the worst allergies no matter what I did. And I know it's so many other things. It's my circadian health, my light exposure, my vitamin D is optimized through sun exposure. I mean, I do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, yes, continuing to optimize. But I've also been inhaling very, very consistently for a while now. And I didn't get any sort of hay fever, no itching, no histamine stuff. And it was like, oh, okay, we just had like pollen from hell, like record high
Yep.
pollen levels. And I was completely unfazed.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's interesting research to show what hydrogen can do to help modulate the immune system and help particularly with sinus issues,
Oh
with
my
like
God.
runny noses. There's some research on that. So and if you guys are just jumping on, I'm going to get one more question here. Comment H2 below this video if you're interested in getting the sale link. They're doing a big spring sale. My code is Sarah Spring, but it'll give you generators, the hydrogen bottle, all the things. Someone wants to know for Hashimoto's and vitiligo, would the water bottle or machine be best? Trying to understand which therapy I should start with. I have tablets from another company. And obviously nothing we say here is medical advice. We're just having a conversation. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I would say for something like Hashimoto's, you would want to look at a inhalation.
I would say too.
That's just going to hit your cells. Inhalation goes to the cells the fastest. Mm-hmm. And so in my experience, about 12 years in this industry, the inhalation has been the strongest one, the key. And then the generator that you inhale can also make your water too.
Yeah.
So you can get both. That's why, and we also include a bottle of tablets with the generator. So what we call the triple punch combo is our protocol. Minimum 30 days, you take one tablet a day on an empty stomach, you substitute all regular drinking water for hydrogen-rich water, and you do daily breathing for 30 days. And if you have a Hashimoto's and a condition, breathe at least 1 hour a day. You can, obviously, the more the better. But you do this for 30 days, you're probably going to have the most profound effects since you've had Hashimoto's with this one machine right here. In our spring sale, we're including the machine, our bottle, super saturated bottle, and the tablets. So at a discount. Yeah. So if you're thinking about all of it, you might want to consider the bundle package.
Yeah, it's a great deal. I just had a client of mine that has autoimmune. And with autoimmune, you have to look at other things. Like I said, circadian rhythms, light exposure, how much vitamin D you're getting from sunlight, diet, especially with autoimmune. I have an autoimmune diet protocol in my quantum nutrition program, but a client of mine, I'm like, she's just dealing with this autoimmune stuff. I'm like, we've got to get you on a machine. Like I really think it's going to be helpful. I think she ordered one today. I'm like, because I've been talking with her about it for a month. I'm like, I know they're going to have a big sale. So just wait.
Yeah.
And and the flow rate of the bottle is what we said, between like a 62 and a 65. Someone wanted to know that.
Yeah, it's very, very low flow rate. Again, that's more like a bonus feature. But hey, you know what? I was just driving. I had a 4-hour drive yesterday. I had my bottle. And you know what? I put on a few 20-minute runs while I was driving, and I had the cannula in. And I mean, that's better than nothing, keeping me sharp on a long drive, and it was raining and everything. But with the autoimmune disease too, we've had a few cases of having successfully put in autoimmune diseases in remission. One of them being lupus. A young woman had lupus for 5 years, couldn't work or work out. And then a few months into just the tablets, the few weeks into the tablets, she already felt a huge difference. And from there, she went really on a lot of tablets and more of our products. And now 4 months in, she's fully has the lupus in remission. So
that's amazing.
It's just something that I say, don't kill the messenger. Yeah. There's other companies out there. There's other products. There's the studies. We encourage you guys to Google, lupus, autoimmune disease, or immune system, and hydrogen therapy, or whatever the condition is, or whatever you're trying to get benefits from. I'm the messenger. I found this 12 years ago. It changed my life. It changed my family's life. And I wanted to get this out to the world, proper service and proper products.
Yeah. And someone wants to know if you can only use tablets, how many in a day? I would say 3, but.
Yeah, that was, we were always recommending 1 a day because 1 a day was showing great results, and there's 30 tablets in a bottle. So to be conscious of, we don't want to burn out your bottle quick. But for example, that lupus case I was just talking about, she ended up doing, I think, 2 a day to 3 a day and started actually coughing up discolored mucus.
Oh, wow.
And the same thing happened with me when I did 3 a day. And so, of course, I hooked myself up on all the diagnostic technology, didn't show any bacteria, any virus. So I knew I wasn't sick. I felt like $1,000,000, but I was coughing up some mucus.
Mm-hmm.
And so 3 a day after the first few days showed to do a really deep cleansing and a strong immune response. So we haven't experimented with more than 3 a day. All the ingredients are natural, so you can't overdo it, but ease into those, because really sick people, they might feel great, but their body learn how to optimize a toxic environment. Yeah. So people that drink Coca-Cola at first might have a stomach ache. After a few years of drinking Coca-Cola, you feel great. You're like, Coke helps me, right? And we know it's toxic. We know it's poison. So the point is that toxic person, your body's so intelligent, it learns how to live optimally in a toxic environment. So you have a tablet, and if you're a really toxic person or have a lot of gut health issues, you could have grumbling, burping. You might need to go to the bathroom and have a strong bowel movement. You could get nauseous. Now, this is very, very rare that this happens, but for those people that it does happen, what it tells me is you need this so bad and you're actually very, very sick. And we actually found a gentleman, an American here in Costa Rica. He tried the bottle of tablets. He said he tried 1 tablet at night, and I don't want to scare anyone, but I just want to be transparent that, and he's like, I eat good, and I go to the gym, and I do this, and he was so sure that he was really a healthy guy. I do all my blood work every year. I'm like, okay, great. Try the tablets. 1 tablet, he got cold sweats at night, felt like a fever, cold sweats, felt nauseous, and he goes, yeah, those tablets aren't for me. I said, well, let me tell you something. Anyone that reacts that strongly from the tablet, I'm telling you, you have a major health issue and you need to go to the doctor. I'm telling you. So he goes to the clinic. He gets a diagnostic with a bioresonance, which we use that as a preliminary energetic diagnostic so we can send to the hospital and do the blood labs, right? Mm-hmm. And it showed early signs of heart cancer. He didn't want to believe it. We said, look, this is what it's saying. Go to the hospital, verify it. And it was true.
Wow.
He had the very preliminary stages of heart cancer, and I knew that just from how strong his reaction was from 1 tablet.
Wow,
so
that's pretty
you
rare.
Get amazing story.
Wow.
And the worst part about it is that afterward, he wasn't even happy. He was actually upset because ignorance is bliss, and he swore that he was in the best health. And so, all we can do is lead the horse to water. We can't force him to drink,
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, I have to run upstairs for the kids, but anything else? So if you guys are just coming on, I'll save both of these to my page if you want to go back and rewatch. Mateo and I also have an awesome podcast coming out next week on Wednesday. And then if you want to take advantage of the sale, just comment H2 under the video. I'll send you the link, and my code is Sarah Spring. But anything else you want to add to the conversation, Mateo?
One thing I can say is that we are focused on customer service and research and development for our products. So we've never seen a marketing ad from us. We've never invested our money into marketing and advertisements. We're investing our money into research and development. And so we're always, our machine now is, I think it's the 4.0, so we're always improving, and we're really, really, really excited. It's been a long time, over a year, that we've been working on this bottle to release it. And so it's very exciting. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you need to speak to a medical doctor, your doctor needs to speak to our doctor, we can set that call up. Just reach out to info@axiomh2.com. And yeah, any interest, we're here. We're here for your guys' support. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Sarah or myself. We love to educate. That's what we do. We're not selling things, we're educating, and we're passionate because it's exciting and it works.
Yeah, I love it. And I don't work with a ton of brands, and I'm very picky about who I do work with. And one of the big requirements is, do you take care of my people? Because I'm not trying to have my inbox full of angry people because I send them to a company that doesn't take care of them.
Yep.
And that I worked with you guys for about 6 months before I started talking about it with my community, and you guys took amazing care of me, like amazing care of me and my daughter, my family, always super responsive with everything. And so I was like, all right, I can tell my community about it. So they really do respond to issues. If you have them, they're very responsive. They're very helpful. And I definitely stand behind what they do and think Mateo is an awesome, awesome guy.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out and being part of the podcast. It's my pleasure and honor, and hope to see you guys soon.
Amazing. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.